Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. For today's episode, I want to share with you guys how I make this kind of cookie. This cookie is very crisp on the outside and very soft in the inside. If you want to see how I make this, come on and join me as I walk you through the process. Hi everyone, it's me again, and today I'll show you how I make the 3.5 ounces chocolate chip cookie. Just a little background, sometime last year, my closest baker friend, who's, obviously also into baking, told me all about a baker from the Philippines whose chocolate chip cookies look so good and she wanted to know how to make it. Fast forward to several days and this baker finally posted a story on Instagram showing her dough before she baked it. And my friend was like, hey, I want to do that. And I was like, me too. And that's how this recipe came about. From research, trial and error, and happiness after I finally got it right. And although the idea came from the photos of the baker from the Philippines, this is actually an inspired version of the Levain chocolate chip cookie. I am not sure if that's how you pronounce the name, but I did make this smaller because I can't eat a big cookie in just one sitting, and I hate eating a cookie unless I can devour it in just a minute or two. Anyway, I know this is not why you're here, so let's move on and see our ingredients. First, you would need 1 cup of unsalted butter, cold and cubed. Of course, you can use salted butter, but if you do, please skip the salt from the ingredients that I'm going to mention in a moment. Next, you will need 1 1/2 cups of all-purpose flour, then 1 cup of cake flour. You might be asking why I'm using cake flour, and so I'm going to tell you why. The reason for this is because cake flour doesn't develop as much gluten as the all-purpose flour, and so adding this will keep the cookies soft in the inside, meaning your cookie will not be dense. Then you will need 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and like what I've mentioned earlier, if you're using salted butter, then skip this ingredient. Then you will need 2/3 cups of white sugar and 2/3 cups of brown sugar, 2 cups of chopped walnuts, but if you're allergic to nuts or if you just don't like eating them, then you can also skip this. 2 cups of dark chocolate, and I want to mention this. You can use a semi-sweet or milk chocolate, but you might not have the same kind of result that I'm going to show you later on. You have to remember this though. If you want to have a melted or gooey chocolate inside your cookie, then I do recommend that you use a chocolate that has at least 60% cacao. If you really don't like dark chocolates, then maybe use half of it and then use half of either milk or semi-sweet chocolate. Moving on, and for the last ingredient, you will need 2 eggs, lightly beaten. I think I may have beaten my egg a little too much, but it still works, so I'm not too mad about it. So in a bowl, just mix together your flours, baking powder and soda, and salt. Again, skip the salt if you will use salted butter, and then set it aside for now. In a stand mixer fitted with a pedal attachment, cream the butter on low speed for about 30 seconds or until the butter loses half of its shape. And then add in the white sugar and brown sugar. So the first time I actually did this, I added the white sugar first and mixed it until combined before I added the brown sugar. But I didn't see any difference at all between adding the sugars one at a time and adding them both almost at the same time. Anyway, if your butter got stuck to your pedal attachment, just use a spatula to push them down so that you can cream them all together. Once done, start adding the walnuts and the chocolate chips and beat until combined. Now, turn off your mixer and add half of the flour mixture and then mix again on low speed. Do not attempt to mix this on high speed because it will be messy. Mix to combine and then add in the rest of your flour mixture. If you're not used to doing this, you can turn off your mixer again so you can add in the remaining flour mixture. But I was not afraid of a bit of a mess, and so I added it while my mixer was still running. So, if you turn off your mixer now, you will notice that your dough is a bit crumbly. But that's okay. Turn on your mixer again and then add in your eggs and mix until fully combined and smooth. Turn off your mixer and check if it finally forms a cohesive dough. If not, mix a bit more until you reach this kind of consistency. And now, this step is optional, but I do like to mix the dough by hand because the mixer doesn't really mix everything together. Also, doing this will ensure that your chocolates and walnuts are really distributed evenly. If you're going to sell these, or if you're like, ew, I don't want to use my bare hands, then use gloves instead or a wooden spatula or whatever you think is best for you. For me, I just use my bare hands to mix the dough a bit more. Now, take out your scale. If you don't have a scale, then you can eyeball this, I guess. But I do recommend that you invest in a food scale because you will get an accurate weight not only for this chocolate chip cookie, but also for measuring your ingredients. Portion your dough to 3.5 ounces each and place it on a baking pan lined with a parchment paper, and here's the important part. Do not use a scoop or make a perfect round dough. The dough should not be perfectly round or you will end up having a flat, sad looking cookie. Also, as you can see in this video, I keep on tearing the scale because sometimes weighing the cookie dough messes the scale, and I wanted to make sure that I really get an accurate measurement for each cookie. You might also notice that I'm putting the cookies too close to each other with not a lot of space in between them, but fret not because we're not going to bake these yet. Yes, you heard that right. You still need to put the baking pan inside the freezer for 90 minutes. So if you don't have a lot of space in your freezer, then you just use one baking pan first and then you can just transfer them to another pan once you're ready to bake it. If you have a big freezer, then that's great. But whatever you're going to do, just please make sure that each dough is spaced a few inches apart. Now you can relax a bit while you're waiting for 90 minutes, but before the timer is up, make sure to preheat your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit and bake the cookies for 14 minutes or until the edges and top are golden. And this is very important. I am using a convection oven, so it's fairly straightforward. I just simply take out the pan and bake it one pan at a time. But if you are using a conventional oven, stack two baking pans with the empty one upside down and the one with the dough on top. And then again, bake it one pan at a time. Also, if you're going to do the 3.5 ounces version, try to experiment with your baking time a bit because ovens aren't made exactly the same. For my oven, baking it for 8 minutes didn't work. Here's a picture of that, and while it may still look okay on the outside, the inside was really, and I mean really, underbaked, and it was just a gooey mess. I've also tried baking it for 12 minutes only, and here's a picture of that, and it was also a gooey mess but better than the 7-minute cookie. Anyway, I've found that 14 minutes of baking time is just the perfect one for me. So once you're done baking, take out the pan from the oven and make sure to let it rest or cool down for at least 30 to 45 minutes before you try to split it in half. If you don't wait, you're going to get this, and the cookie will just crumble and your hands will be dirty. I know it's tempting to eat and try it, but seriously, please wait for a bit because it's going to be worth it, just like this one. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. I am trying to build my channel and your support will truly mean a lot to me. You can also follow me on Instagram at thisbeksbakes. That's it for now. Enjoy!